All right, let's get it. Today, I have a question. And that question is, do you believe in miracles? Now, let's be clear. My goal here today is not to convince you one way or the other. I'm just going to try and make some interesting points, and maybe by the end of this video you can decide or have a better grasp of which way you lean. So let me tell you how this all came to be. So me and a coworker, and he's from the diaspora, was having a conversation, and somehow we got into religion, and he basically says that the story of Jesus is plagiarized from the story of Isis and Horus. And if you study Egyptology, or you know of anyone who studies Egyptology, then this theory isn't new. They all claim that the story of Jesus is basically the story of Horus, and it predates Jesus, etc., etc., etc. I don't put much stock into that, but to each his own. So basically the conversation evolved into, do I believe in miracles? And at this point he was just trying to be an antagonist. So his question was, if I pray to God that I'm hungry, will a sandwich fall out of the sky? And it's not the first time that I've heard these kind of juvenile questions or arguments. And my reply was, well, I'll tell you what my reply was in a second. First, let's look at some things. Now, the very first video that I've ever created on YouTube included definitions. So you guys know I have a propensity to put definitions in my videos. And today's going to be no different. So let's look at the definition of miracle, which is on the screen. And it reads, a surprising and welcomed event that is not explicable by natural or scientific laws and is therefore considered to be the work of divine agency. And it has some synonyms listed: mystery, prodigy, sign, wonder, marvel, sensation, phenomenon. But I think the synonym that they don't list is probably the most accurate, and that is coincidence. And I'll come back to why I'm adding coincidence into this video or discussion. But let's read the definition of coincidence. And it reads, a remarkable I'm a little under the weather. A remarkable concurrence of events or circumstances without apparent causal connection. I think if you break down the words, that's very similar to the definition of a miracle. Excuse me, I'm going to take a sip of my tea. So, I just want to show a few examples of what the world would consider medical miracles, which is basically when science says you should have died, but somehow you survived a tragic incident or injury. So let's start with the one on the left. And this is about a lady named Michelle Funk. On June 10th, 1986, 2.5-year-old Michelle Funk fell into an icy creek and was submerged for 66 minutes. That's an hour and 6 minutes, folks. When rescuers pulled her out of the water, she was not breathing and appeared lifeless. The doctors used various techniques to rewarm her blood and bring her back to life. She was successfully resuscitated. I believe this individual is still alive today. She was submerged in an icy creek for over an hour and survived. Is that a miracle? Maybe, maybe not. Let's move over to the article on the right. You guys may be familiar with Representative Giffords. She was shot in the head, an assassination attempt, and the bullet passed through her skull, through her brain, came in one side and out of the other, and she survived. Is that a miracle? Maybe, maybe not. Let me introduce you guys to Phineas Gage. Phineas Gage survived a 3.5-foot iron rod through his head. And this was late 1800s, early 1900s, something like that. You guys can Google it. But yeah, he survived a 3.5-foot rod through his head. And this is before you can try and credit modern medicine. And if you want to research, Google, whatever, you'll find many examples of people who survived injuries or events where they should have died and yet somehow they survived. So, are these all examples of miracles? Are they all coincidences? Or are all of these people just extremely lucky? So, how did I answer my coworker? Well, I could have hit him with Matthew 16:4, which says, "A wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given unto it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas," which is basically talking about the resurrection. Or I could have hit him with John 9:31, which says, "Now we know that God heareth not sinners, but if any man be a worshipper of God and doeth his will, him he heareth." And I figured that might be a little bit too off-putting, even though it is true. Maybe a little bit too obstinate. So how did I answer his question about a sandwich falling from the sky? What was my rebuttal? And my rebuttal was simple. My answer was no. A sandwich will not fall out of the sky if you pray for a sandwich because you're hungry. I mean, that's utterly ridiculous. But here's what might happen. Perhaps you pray for a sandwich and you're hungry, and you just happen to be near a sandwich shop, Subway, Jimmy John's, whatever. And someone can't finish their meal, or they're in a rush, and they just hand you their sandwich. You go, "Hey man, can you want this? I can't finish it." Or maybe you're walking and you just happen to stumble across a $10 bill or a $20 bill. And now you can go and get yourself something to eat. Excuse me. Now you can go and get yourself something to eat. See, did you just witness a miracle? Was your prayer answered? Or is it just a coincidence? Again, I'll let you decide. See, I just think that sometimes we want to see the sky turn purple and you get this grand gesture. And while we're looking for that, we miss the miracle that's actually happening right in front of our eyes. I think sometimes people just mistake miracles for coincidence. That's just how I feel about it. I think we see miracles all the time. And we're too blinded by our own disbelief to actually recognize it. This is what I think. So sometimes I just think we need to open our eyes and see what's actually going on and taking place right in front of us. So, again, let me say, Do you believe in miracles? And if you're a believer and your answer is no, then maybe you should not be questioning miracles. Maybe you should be questioning your faith. It's just something to think about. All right, I'm going to leave it there for now. If you like the way I think, slide over to Patreon, check out some of my original short stories. It's only $1.50 per download. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss out on our future videos. And like always, I thank you for your time. Peace.